Hi everyone, welcome to Beyond Podcast by Go for Partners with me, Katia Ivanova. Today's episode is about digital transformation in shopping malls. I hope you will enjoy today's conversation with our special guests, Gonçalo Santos from Sonae and Ricardo Santos from Heptasense. Hi, Gonçalo and Ricardo. Can you please introduce yourselves and companies with few words? Gonçalo, please.
Of course. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. So my name is Gonçalo. I work at Sonae, one of the European leading companies on retail real estate. We are a Portuguese-based company. We are part of the group, Sonae's group, and we are responsible for managing development real estate projects a little bit all over the place. We have operations here in Portugal, Spain, also Italy, Germany. We have also in Romania, Poland. We have a lot of shopping malls around the globe. And basically, my major role is to try to foster innovation across our business and help on the digital transformation of this business.
Okay, thank you, Ricardo.
Yeah, hello. So my name is Ricardo from Heptasense. I'm one of the founders and the CEO. What we do at Heptasense is a software for surveillance cameras that is able to understand the behavior of people and vehicles without identification, without jeopardizing their privacy, with the goal to increase security and to understand the metrics of the customers in a facility. So we work with different markets, from retail, shopping centers, highways, prisons, etc. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you, Ricardo. Gonçalo, my first question it's for you. Coronavirus pandemic has pushed us further into a digital world, while tragic COVID-19 has presented companies with once in a lifetime opportunity to create and adapt. Are adaptation and innovation the keys to pandemic survival for the companies? And can you tell us how Sonae has used innovation and technology to adapt the new normal?
Yes, I think that innovation is critical to not just to survive, but to push forward and to go beyond on every business. So I think that companies that doesn't think like that will have a challenging future to say so. So regarding coronavirus pandemic, what we could share with you guys is basically we have different operations on different countries all over the place. So by being an international company, we somehow could adapt and could plan learning with all the different countries. So Italy was one of the, sorry for the airplane, but basically Italy was one of the major European countries affected by the pandemics. So we have shopping malls there. And we started understanding a little bit earlier here in Portugal what could happen to us. And of course, we try to plan some initiatives that I could share. So basically, when we learned that probably we will go into the lockdown, we are starting thinking what we could do to help our tenants, being kept in mind that we are a physical business or very strong business focused on physical locations. So the first of all is to try to enable a temporary and additional sales channels to minimize the impact of COVID on our tenants. And by this, we establish a partnership with DOT that allow us to help our tenants to increase their sales, or at least to cap it at a sustainable level for their business, and contributing also to their rentability or profitability, so to speak. Additional, we try to create ways that people feel safe in shopping mall, and that let the visitors decide when they feel there is the most adequate time to go there. And basically, we developed several initiatives. We developed the traffic counters, that is basically a traffic light that is based on footfall indexes and sensors that we have in place. People sees if there is too many people there, or if we are complying with the laws on different countries, or on the opposite side, if it is a calm day and people go and face no restrictions on visiting the mall. This is more related with technology. Of course, we have done all the things related with hygiene, so we reinforced all the procedures with that. But for just to give you another example, we continue to work with tech. We collaborate with several startups. We bring the pickup. I would say we're trying to bring to the pickup of the curbside pickup to service to different levels. So we create drive-ins in each shopping mall, in each parking of the malls that we managed. We create remote systems that customers could go there and pick their orders without intervening with anybody. So what we believe that is critical to understand is people understand we have good places to go. They are safe. We are complying with all the measures that health authorities ask us. We have audits that certificate us that we have a good model implemented here. And of course, we try to put customer on the center of our operations and bring convenience and safety during this moment.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Ricardo, did this crisis brings more opportunities or threats to Heptasense?
Yeah, I will say that, yeah, probably opportunities for sure. It is, well, I will say both, because companies, small companies and big companies, realize how interesting is the data from the cameras. So this pandemic brought a lot of competition for Heptasense, but only in small niches of the market. For example, there's a lot of companies today now using the cameras to identify if the people are using masks inside of shopping centers or other locations, or if they are having social distance, if they are cooperating with the social distance. So in that sense, now there is a lot of competition today. But it also opened for new opportunities, because now companies realize how important it is to have data in real time. I don't know if this happens for all the shopping centers. Gonçalo can confirm that or not, but we have customers in shopping centers that the data from the people counting in entering the shopping center, the data, those footfalls, the device that we find in shopping centers, they have a delay of 30 minutes, 1 hour. And that is not good for managing the occupancy inside the shopping center. The data needs to be in real time. They need to know in real time how many people are entering the facility and leaving the facility. And also other data such as how much time people spend inside each store, because this is important to predict how much people will spend in lines, in queues, to enter that store, and also, of course, how much time people spend inside the shopping center. So this type of data that Heptasense and other digital solutions provide is really to allow the shopping centers to manage in real time and to predict in short term what they need to do, so the customer journey is not affected in a negative way.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Ricardo. Gonçalo, another question for you. COVID-19 boosted e-commerce. How do you see people using the shopping centers differently?
Well, I believe that for sure this pandemic will change the world. I don't know. I don't want to make any prediction, but what I could say that, of course, will boost e-com and all digital services. Even because people doesn't have probably during this period more opportunities or different ways to handle the kind of needs that they want to somehow try to fill in. And in that sense, of course, that we are hoping that e-commerce will somehow rise, but we are confident that also people will understand the value of having a good and a physical experience in a good place to go and a very good shopping experience. And what I believe that we are rather aware, at least at Sonae, the future will be blurring the two worlds, in the sense that there is no more than physical side without online side, and online side without physical retail, because probably most of you or the people that will listen us have a bad experience on e-commerce, or the product is not the right one, the texture is not exactly photo, they prefer to try it. And of course, this is buying or shopping is also, I would say, an experience, a personal experience. You grab a friend to go with you, or it is a time to do some offset on the stress that you face daily. So what I believe is we need to create more and increased ways of providing convenience on a digital side. That doesn't mean that we right now will focus or transfer our attention to develop models that rely only on price competition or on the major advantage of e-com, because I do not believe we are able to provide this, because the cost structure is not comparable, but also because we provide different type of experiences that could not be comparable afterwards.
Okay. Ricardo, I know Heptasense it's working already with shopping centers in Europe. Do you see a change on how they are approaching digital transformation and customer experience?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. That's definitely one of their priorities. How they could use the real-time data to understand how things are evolving, because this that just happened, COVID, is showing how things can change very fast, and they need to make decisions very fast. That's why they, for example, if on day one and that this happened, they need to get the data to make decisions and not just wait 1 month or 2 months to make a decision. So they need the data every day to make those decisions. In terms of business, we continue to work with the company. We didn't lose any customer, but it was easier to continue to work with companies in Europe than in Portugal. In Portugal, unfortunately, things are a little bit slower, but things are still rolling. I would say companies are not stopping because of this. Of course, their priority changes, but things are still rolling.
Okay. Gonçalo, so maybe startups are a critical resource for recovery, providing quick solutions. Do you prefer to work with an early stage startup or established company to innovate?
I believe this is a very good question. I worked with startups and also with corporates, and I believe that typically when we are realizing or we are talking about doing new services that you want to test, I think that ideally I would, personally speaking, select a startup, because the mindset is more aligned. So typically they have this feeling of try fast, if succeeds, try to scale it up. If it not succeeds, it's what it is. So go ahead and find a new solution. Because when we are with corporates, and we need also to do with that also in Portugal with other companies, there are too many decisions, there are too many things that could also take longer time to market, and I believe that innovation is critical to be fast. As Ricardo is saying, I believe that this pandemic showed the world that the decisions could not take longer than few days. So we probably will start seeing decisions that are much more faster than previous one, because if something happens again, you do not know, or you will not wait for sure 5 months, 6 months to try to understand how the things will be the new normal. So I would say that startups are good. Typically, startups are well structured in the sense that typically they do not have a strong structure to work with. So some things are and should be like that. Some things are not solved, or even they don't think about it. But I believe this is our role. And special of the innovation teams all across these corporate companies to try to balance and to act as a player, or to act as an ambassador of the both sides on each relationship. So if you are talking with the startup, you need to understand and to try to demonstrate to them what they need to do, and the other way around. So if you are talking internally, you need to explain that the solution will not be perfect, will not be compliant with the SLAs that we are typically dealing with a corporate company, and so on and so forth. At the end of the day, I believe it is about people and mindset, and if you are aligned with the objective of the project or the product.
Okay, Ricardo, what's the biggest challenge to start up working with corporates?
I will say that there was quite a change in the last months, in years, that it's very difficult to understand what is a startup and what is a corporate. Of course, it's very easy to distinguish between Heptasense and Sonae, of course, but unfortunately, the way other companies, big companies, see startups sometimes is not the best way possible, because they see sometimes startups as like students that live with their parents, and they have this flexibility to change the business model or to change the product, and sometimes work for free. And sometimes they forgot that we are companies like them. We need to pay salaries, we pay taxes. And when we do a shift that change completely our business model or our product for that company, the risk is very, very high for the startup. And sometimes startups believe that by doing that, they will get that customer and will change everything on their site. So I really believe that this culture, the way startups are seen by big corporates, should not be seen like this. Like you should be like a cooperation between two companies, and not startup and corporation. Sometimes when Heptasense deals with corporations, we try to avoid using the word startup, and we try to create a commercial relationship. And like Gonçalo said, it's all about the relationship. So it's very important that this culture of the startup is someone with a little bit desperate to get the customer, is something that should be avoided completely. It should be a relationship, something that should be built so they could collaborate together at the long term, and not something just to try something to see if it works or it's cool. No, it's a long-term relationship.
Yes, and Ricardo, do you see a difference between the Portuguese companies you have been working before and the international companies? It's easier to work with Portuguese companies or international companies? What is your experience?
It depends on the country, for sure. If we're talking about, for example, France or Spain, it's easier to work in Portugal, because France, Spain are very national. They only work with, they like to speak their language. But if you compare Portugal with Germany or UK, it's easier to work with companies from Germany and UK. So there are some things that Portugal should evolve on that sense. The companies from Portugal, they actually see the startups as like I said, sometimes students that they just want to do something fun, and they do not see us as companies unless we have a huge investment, for example.
Okay.
But it depends on the country.
Okay, thank you. And the next question actually it's for both of you. What needs to be improved of the Portuguese innovation ecosystem? Can you give some advice to the startups? Gonçalo, maybe you can start first.
Well, this is a tough question in the sense that will depend a lot on several things. I believe that if we look into the last 5 to 10 years, we improved a lot. So you see incubators, accelerators, open innovation programs popping up, Lisbon, Porto, Coimbra, all over the place, and all the awards that people and the startups, Portuguese startups, are collecting, and even some, I would say, unicorns in Portugal somehow translate this good moment that we are facing in terms of innovation. Of course, we need to improve. We need to improve in the sense that we need to improve these relationships that we are talking about here, or of doing things that they are not too much complex. So it is testing, and we need to somehow crack this culture of doing the perfect thing just because the thing that are and you don't want to fail if it's a smaller one, or if you have any kind of fear that will not feel misunderstood, or doesn't also translate into the real problem. I believe this is a cultural thing that we need to improve. Of course, we need to be more exposed to the competition. I'm perfectly convinced that Portuguese talent and Portuguese startups are so competitive, or even higher. They are much competitive rather than other startups that we are seeing. And I work in several companies, and I work with several startups. And I believe that if we face more competition and all the events and all the exposure that we have of the tech talent is a good priority. And of course, we need to focus on adding value. Innovation and startups could not be focused on delivering just funny things or good things or new things that are not creating value. We need to focus on creating value and understand where this value could come from. And of course, there is nothing when you are talking about startups and measure digital tech, not industrial tech or something like that. But limit has to provide services for other countries in the world from here in Portugal. You have a good talent. Probably Ricardo could share more insights about that. So you have a lot of people that is pretty good. We have a lot of infrastructure and good services. It's a matter of we be more competitive in selling our technology and having the support of big companies here in Portugal that also crack this barrier to invest and to try to work with Portuguese startups, even if that is not a guaranteed success. So I believe this is the critical drivers to continue improving the ecosystem.
Thank you, Gonçalo. Ricardo, what is your opinion?
Yeah. I in my side, I can provide in this case the advice for other startups. I think the key here is really the transparency, and like Gonçalo said, is to solve a problem. So for when a startup sits with a corporation, it's very important that the startup in this case understand exactly how the corporate will benefit from the product, so they could understand exactly if they can actually do it for free or a small amount, and thinking about long term. So it's very important transparency here. So it's important that they share the data before doing something together, so they could understand each other, and then they could build the relationship stronger in that way.
Okay, thank you, Ricardo. Last question, Gonçalo. What is the future of the shopping malls? What do you think?
Shopping malls will continue to be relevant in the shopping arena, in the sense that Online will not be able to provide the same experiences or with the same level of engagement that you have on a physical experience, even if you are talking about VR or AR or wherever you want to imagine. Going to a cinema or having a drive-in, catching a video on a drive-in, and like the examples that we are foreseeing due to COVID, it's not replicable in the digital world with the same exposure and the same feelings. Of course, you could grab a command, a TV come and set up a Netflix account and from your sofa seeing a movie, but it is not the same thing. So what I think that is the thing here and the critical thing to crack is to find the right experiences that continue to generate people to go to the shopping mall. With the convenience probably, or at least comparable or competitive convenience that digital experience could provide. Let me give you an example. So if you could be able to facilitate or make easier to interact with some systems on the shopping mall, could be navigation inside the mall, or could be I don't know, requesting some type of equipment, digitally speaking, without interacting with anybody, or even to have different services, from requesting your meal directly from your table where you're sitting, and you don't need to go to the store and somebody comes with a meal to you. So I believe that we will continue to for sure to see huge experiences, different experiences that not be replicable outside the shopping. But of course, we will see some transformation on the conception of the mall. Probably even from a design point of view, probably some things will be different, because if you're thinking about mobility or if you're thinking about seniors, the things will be different. What we could not forget is basically that these assets or these retail real estate were built in a certain time, some of them many years ago. So we need to transform, and that's, of course, changing an app could be easy. It's a matter of months or weeks, but changing concrete is not exactly the same thing. So it will take a little bit longer. But we, as Sonae Sierra, we are confident that we will be able to continue pacing with the trends and setting the trends on the near future.
Thank you, Gonçalo. Ricardo, and what is the future of Heptasense?
Yeah, for sure that this situation shows us that how things can change a lot in a market. So there's a lot of competition now in specific niches. So what this shows us is that we need to evolve as a company in a way that when we build a product, we should not make more features on the same product. How can I explain this? Yeah, actually building more features on the product, but focusing on a specific market in a way that we can create a lot of dependencies around the same feature. For example, in a shopping center, instead of creating more analytics for videos for the shopping center, we need to focus on, okay, we have this one that is unique, for example, understanding the customer journey, and now we need to build more information on top of this, so the shopping center could feel a dependency on using this product, instead of using this one thing. So that's what this pandemic shows. We need to evolve inside the same product instead of creating new ones completely without dependency between each other.
Thank you. We have no more time, but thank you for this conversation and for your attention. I wish you all the best and stay safe. Thank you very much.